Good morning. We have a Cindra game, and I think nothing to board for her. Submit as is. We're on Jarl at the moment, so interesting problem of Verdant has become mainstream, and with her being that, I don't have that much to do with her anymore. This is a pretty good start. We can have some free Channel Lake Frigid because we're going first. Can Arsenal and Oaken. I could, in theory, like cycle the Fiddlers to look for more blues, but the Fiddlers is pretty good, especially with her having a very low rate start. I'm pretty happy with keeping this. Don't have to throw away your whole hand every turn. But starting with a Channel 8 Frigid is quite nice. I'm running Gauntlets of Boreal for a couple of reasons. There are 2 Mangles in here to kind of pressure people with those. But there's also... how do I describe it? Just an element of being able to keep that Frigid in play an extra turn, possibly by using that into the Titan's Fist. I kind of like it. I'm not a big fan of the next time you gain damage, gain 1 less gloves as such. They're not the most expensive card, but they're about £40, I think, still, and don't necessarily provide much. I get to work on them next turn if I just take this hit. And I don't believe they're going to be able to get a mass trigger here, right? They could go 1, 2, 3, maybe they could. But I don't think they're going to. And I can always pivot if I need to. There's the mark. The mark matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter that much. This just feels like it's going to be a really good start. Going into this Oaken's going to be massive. I'm obviously not going to be able to keep the Channel 8 Frigid anymore, but their first turn was crap, and that's all we care about. On the sort of Verdant's front, basically, everyone's playing her, and there's now all the big streamers making content about her. So my little niche of doing Verdant stuff is, I'm not saying it's come to a complete end. I've not stopped playing her. I'm just looking. I'm looking for what's the next thing I'm going to play, because it's becoming a very real thing if I'm going to have to do something. They will LL her within a year of now, I suspect, as a rough guess. I've always liked. I always liked Old Him would be a simple description. So I've always liked Jarl in principle. It's just a case of getting a deck working for him that does stuff. We're arsling this into her because we're probably going to have to full block at least at some point, and then I can just play the crumble out. I am not worried about having to Arsenal things into this because it's not going to be a slow matchup. Not by any means. I think this is what we go for. Oh, hang on. I've done the wrong thing. Hang on. I thought I was doing that. There we go. Some of the clicking's not quite second nature to me. We're going for this because I value the full block more than I do the extra life to some degree. I can go through a lot of fatigue here. One strategy you can go into Cindra is basically you start Coronet peaking every turn, so they only have 3-card hands, which makes it quite hard for her to get the momentum triggers ever. Like, it just becomes difficult. She can chip very slowly with the flick knives, but I don't really care about them too much. And at some point I will break them. You know, this crumble will yield that for me. She does not like blocking, basically. Just going to take the one from this. Leaking a little bit's fine. I have plenty of life gain to kind of undo these ones. It's more about the mass triggers, so the next thing they do will trigger it, so we're probably looking at covering that somewhere. So this is going to hit. That's the obvious statement. I'm very willing to just cover that with the gauntlets on this turn. I don't need to keep the gauntlets as the other comment I would make. Like, I'm perfectly happy blocking them out into Cindra. Gives me time to do things. And then this is coming in and it's the last point of a chain. So this is what I mean about I do not at all mind the crumble being in there. I'd love to boulder drop them, but I do not want them hitting and destroying my arsenal and drawing a card, blah, 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 blah. I think that's chain 4, is it? Yeah, it's chain 4. So, you know, we don't want this. I'm happy to give them the cards. This is a Guardian. Guardians get to block all the time, you know, have nice times. But, you know, I can set up the flick knives or the Mask of Momentum to get eaten. Probably go for the mask, because once the mask's gone, the game gets really easy for me, I think. It's always a difficult choice. They're both good choices to take. I think the mask is the right call. So we're going to let that ignite through because I can break the chain later, and this is all just about denying this Mask of Momentum trigger. I don't have an efficient way to 2-block, so I'm not going to try. I am eyeballing that frozen to death because I could get the mask off them with that if I'm careful. They're going to be aggressive this turn, that's the other thing to be aware of. Sigil for life gain is good, but Sigil could be used for this. This is what I think I'm going to do. This is so good for just covering little bits here and there. So rather than gaining the life, I'm going to put the Sigil back because, you know, I'm assuming I'm going to play this to a long game and I will get a chance to play it later. And, you know, I just care about covering these points here and there because it just makes their mass stuff awkward. You know, they can flick knives me here if they want on this dagger, but, you know, we've reset the chain here and now they're in an annoying place. I'm not going to get the text off this crumble, almost certainly, by the way. I'm more interested in taking things off them. So my ideal here would be block out with this Command and Conquer to stop the chain and put the Frozen to Death to Arsenal, so that I can look for a chance to rip this mask off them. Because once that's gone, I can just play the game I want to play. So that's annoying. I can cover it with my gauntlets, which is not the worst choice. I just kind of don't want to. As a note, by the way, I'm not used to some of this yet. I've not played with Tunic for about a year. I should have ramparted with the Tunic, and then I could play this Sigil for Life, which would be good. I'm just trying to decide if I want to give them the gauntlets or not. I think I do. I think that gets me the breathing room I want this turn. It's a shame that I won't have the Dominate available for a Mangle later, but I don't need the Mangle. I've got the Frozen to Death, and it's in hand, it's in my pocket, and I plan to use it. So, and it looks like they're going to possibly be racking up for a big turn next turn. Yeah. I suppose the other thing you could say though about the using the Sigil for Rampart is I still now have the Fiendals, and that maybe buys me better time next turn because I will be able to use this now. If I can keep the Cranial in this Frozen to Death and break their chain with the other stuff, I think I'm in a good place. I am going to leak some damage here for sure. The 2s are quite annoying because I struggle to convert them. So we put the Rampart there, we get a trigger up here which gives me a window to do the Fiendals. So yeah, maybe I don't regret that decision last turn. I think it played out quite well for what I was trying to do. Because, I don't want to be pitching like the Fate for Scene or the Boulder Drop to this Rampart. I want them for blocking. But this person's letting me break the chain 2 in each time here, which is really nice. So that can have the Boulder Drop, because I say we're just focusing on getting this Frozen to Death down. That will really open this up for me. In 2 ways as well, because obviously it gives them an empty slot, so I will get a little bit of use out of my Jarl ability. Not much, but a little bit, and those Frostbites do matter. So the second I know they're not drawing cards, the second I feel safe will be my description here. I can just, I no longer have to save flexes for an emergency. I can just get an efficient turn out of it, that kind of thing. I don't know what this last card's going to be. It's kind of awkward on that regard. They've got 2 cards left, so I think I'll let this one hit. Yeah, we get more efficiency out of that. You're good. We'll keep you on top. You don't do that much with the opt normally. Ooh, sneaky hit. Okay, so they might be getting a free card this turn, yeah. Sad times. Is what it is. So they're getting that extension. The extension's annoying. And this is the problem, right? This is why that mass needs to go, and I'm willing to now take those hits to try and finish it. Because I've already committed to taking those hits. But that was an extra 3 damage just because they got that that in. But I'm taking that away. The awkwardness now is what to do with this. I don't really want this in my arsenal, I don't think. Because I don't really have much else to blow up. I think I don't arsenal that. What am I trying to convert here? I say I don't care about the hitting anymore is the thing, right? So it's now just how to be efficient. It's lovely once you've got that hat off them. You know, it's weird as well because I've now got to rethink what I'm doing. I've obviously got to be careful about things like the kunai chipping me. I don't think I use Rampart this turn at all, because again, I'm not trying to break chains down anymore. I'm just looking for those efficient blocks. You know, I'm also looking, can I get this CNC in, if I'm being honest? Like, if I can get them to Arsenal a card. But I am going to leak a lot of damage to them here, and that's where I'm going to be quite careful. But I was going to leak damage anyway, because this pulse isn't good. What I'm going for here is if they throw this card, I'll block with the CNC. If they don't throw that card, I will CNC them. Okay. So we're going to give them this. So the logic here with saving these two is if they try to Arsenal this, we blow it up and get a really good value CNC. If they don't try to blow this up, so if they throw it like they did, we go into the Coronet Peak, because now they're playing a 3-card hand next turn, and this is how we're going to try and keep her under control now. 3-card hand, no hat, should put me in a fairly stable place. And I've now got to just try and walk her down nice and slow and keep my life up. And Cindra is the best deck in print, so there's a lot to do with that. This is a good hand because it blocks a lot. So we want to keep the Thunderquake to just keep rolling this on, right? This is kind of the thing. There is the question of, do I use a 4-block on it? I probably do. It's unlikely they have 2 4-blocks. So I probably give them this shelter. Or maybe I give them the sink below. Difficult choices. They're much the same, really. The sink can fix a future hand if it ends up in Arsenal, but I think I give them the shelter. They've not got a very big hand, so I think they're probably going to flick knife me, but the odds are lower than average at the moment with no Arsenal and no mask. They're playing on a 2-card hand. It's quite possible they're going to just hit me twice and then pocket something. Yeah, like that. And then I'm hitting them with that, and I'm getting some life. So I'm stabilising. They are continuing to not have as big a hand. And one of the things that's really important is obviously because of the fact that they run Bloodsplattered Vest. I don't much care about, you know, sorry, try again. They care more about the Coronet Peak, right? Because they can't pay it off every 3 turns. It's a lot of empowerments. You know, again, I don't care that this hits, you know. I guess I care that they get 1 free damage, but I also don't care that much about that. Am I doing anything special here, or am I just blocking a lot? These rampant tunic things, I say, I'm just trying to use the tunic every chance I get now because it's more about preserving every point of life I can. You know, I took a big hit on that turn that I didn't really want to take because of that empowerment, which is a shame. You know, it got them a free 4 damage, and you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot in the maths of this game. It's going to be a tight game. You know, it's the classic I wonder if that won them the game kind of thing. I've also got to be careful with Everblooms. 1 is gone, so I really don't want to use this one. This thing hurts. This thing hurts a lot. I'm going to have to take 2 chip on it because I'm not blocking with this, and I need it for the peak. So, you know, that's forcing 4 through again. She's very good at forcing damage. You know, I am worried that I'm not going to be able to manage this to some degree, but we'll see. Because she did that off 3 cards, you know. And I'm playing a card down as well, don't forget that part. You know, my card to take her card is more slowing the pace of the game down while I look for things, rather than anything else. And again, we're on like a solid hand here, like this blocks well, and it's got a blow. So we've got 11 block available. And, you know, I'd love to work on them to get control of the table, but equally just not happening. And Kunai asked me an interesting question. I think we do this. I think this stops the leaking better than anything else is going to. Because they can't flick knives this turn off the back of this. I may end up having to use this Fate Foreseen anyway, by the way, but my hope here is that maybe I can get away with not. Doesn't look like it. I'm going to use it anyway because I don't want to leak the damage. Although I could leak the 3. Maybe we do. I'm going to leak the 3 because we have that point of prevention on. And I get to maybe keep this. No, I don't, because I'm going to use it on that because that's the most efficient blocks I've got. So I'll be getting flick knifed anyway because they've played a lot of stuff. But you know, their arsenal's gone, which is nice. I don't need that. But I'm in danger here because they are just keeping up relentless damage and their deck is way too full. think is the simple description. Cindra is definitely the hardest matchup to go through for this, and I'm not sure I'm going to get there. We'll see. I've played Flesh and Blood enough where I can tell when a game went south early and they've had a couple of good moves, and I'm not fully polished on Jarl yet. So mistakes will most certainly be made by me as we go. I'm just trying to preserve every point of life I can. Now they don't have an arsenal, I'm in a decent place. What I've got to be careful of is if they try and send a low hand next turn and get their arsenal back for a bigger hand, which they very well might, I really, really need something to convert off the top. That boulder drop would be a good choice. There's no better way to block that out, so I may as well block it. There's a quick look from me of can I retain anything, and the answer is no. So I'm taking this. Again, not ideal for me. But there is a plan here. Because I'm going to get an arsenal out of this. I could have blocked that and prevented 3, which would have been nice, and then I could go into peak. But I'm kind of hoping this will give me... Yeah, this is not the best card to have pressure on, but it's some. I kind of want to just put a little bit of oomph to them. Because they're either putting 2 cards to that, which is great for me, or... Yeah, because I think they're going to do this in a card from hand, right? And then they'll take 3 and they won't lose a card. That's what they're going for. This may not have been the right play. This is what I mean. It's very hard to work out where your good and bad plays are. Maybe I should have kept the 3 life. You know, that might well have been better. Because they can just afford to take it. They've got loads of life. And I'm not really trying to walk them down on that front. So this may have been a mistake in terms of I could have 3 more life. This is a good hand, I would say. Brings me most of the things I want to see. As I say, like I am just looking at how to not leak my life total, which is awkward. See, this is a really difficult bit because I can do the sink. I'd love to get the life out of this. This is what I'm like kind of eyeballing. They'll get a bigger hand for it, but I will have kept the sink below. I think that's fine. This is good, I think. I don't mind them drawing an extra card when I've got a sink in the pocket. I don't think it makes much difference. I would like to have used the tunic, but there wasn't a good space for it this turn. Never mind. So they get to keep their whole hand, which makes me sad. But it is what it is. And this is a sort of poor hand. It's okay. The remembrance isn't great here. I maybe don't need the remembrance in against Cindra. It should maybe come out just because it's not optimal and the game is a very, very tight one. Being yellow kind of sucks. If this was a blue, I'd be much, much happier. Or if it blocked, either would be good. You know, it's only going to generate a little bit of value. You know, I may be having to use the quick dodge to convert off it. I'm not sure yet. But I really need to hold this route to get a coronet in, I think. As I say, you know, I really wish I had that extra 3 or 4 life. That would be so helpful. And they are going to get to just sort of nickel and dime me down with these 1 points. As I said, the flick momentum choice is really difficult, and maybe it is flick. I'm unsure. What is this going to be? Difficult decision making here. Yeah, I definitely wish I had the 3 more life as well as the other thing. I think that attack a couple of turns ago was definitely the wrong play. So they're going to flick knife me here, I assume, to get me down another point. Yeah, I think just having those extra couple of points of life would really, really have helped me out. We are getting close to me being stable. Close, but not that close. And that's kind of the issue. As I say, my mistakes cost me about 3 and their good hand got them about 3. I'd feel very comfortable on 15. I do not feel comfortable at 9, if I'm honest. And I'm not going to go carefully count. I wish you could do it. Oh, there's a sort. Never mind. You know, there's a lot of the 4s and 5s gone, but there is still some gas left. Yeah, They've got 20 cards left, and most of those 20 cards are pretty good. Wish Jarl had a mental block. That's the big thing I'd say. I wish I had a way to block their stuff and get a card for Arsenal. That would make me very happy. I don't think it'd even be that strong in Jarl because there's a lot of things you could hit that would break, but I'd love a little bit of card draw. I mean, we do not have many choices to make here, really. We are just feeding them everything we can feed them. I'm getting quite close to the point where I'm going to have to give them the peak as well, just to keep my life total stable. At that point, it's kind of fine, because instead of taking a card, hopefully they've run out of big gas hands. These Jarl games, by the way, in these videos are all going to be long. Just make that very clear. Yeah, so we're going to get hit with a lot of this stuff, aren't we? They are properly going for that chip finish. You don't help with anything. Go to the bottom. But basically, if I'd have kept my life a little more stable, I could have got a little bit closer to fatiguing the Cindra out, I think, and that would have been really helpful. I am thinking I should have taken that Flicker Knight as well. I think I regret taking that over the momentum. I think I could stop the momentum with just good blocking. So, you know, again, a rookie move, time to learn things. I can now think, this thing's probably done me about 7 damage or something, right? Like, I should have taken that. The mask would have been less of a problem. Because I am blocking. And while the blocking's now easier, I'm still just getting, nickel and dime down by this Flicker Knives that I would not otherwise have had to deal with. I think I very much... I can pin this game on 2 bad choices that I think will cost me it. And what I am trying to slow this towards is finding any of the life gain, but we ain't seen it. It's got to be here soon. I guess it's here next turn? I don't know. Got a sigil. Sigil's good. Give them the Oaken. We are not killing them with Oaken in this game. That's not the point of it. There's the hat. Right, so we now know where it is. And we have 16 cards in deck. And we start making moves from there, basically. We're getting that used immediately. And we're probably going to put the flexes in for this turn, and that means this heart will have like generated like 6 value. That is my guess here. I mean, I say that and then I look at what they're doing and go, well, maybe I'm not doing that. They're going to attack again is the thing, right? There's no way they're not. So yeah, I think we use the flexes up. We're going to get 1 less value because of this thing. You know, as I mentioned, I've made mistakes here. I think if the flick knives weren't here, I'd actually have a very good chance of getting through this. So that's a good choice from them, I think, like dodging the rest of the flexes value. But at the same time, the flexes has got me a load of value because I'm getting an arsenal and a card off them. So I'm in a really strong position next turn. And I've still got my tunic counter. So, you know, I've got a rampart, a shelter, and they're only on 4 cards, which gives me a lot of prevention. And we are into the home straight. You know, I've only got to weather like 3 or so more hands, right? That's kind of the whole thing. But it's tight, and as I say, me having 12 or 15 life would be very helpful. But again, you know, I've got a life gain that I pitched into the deck earlier. This is the one that I pitched really early on in the game. And we have the peak to give them at some point. Yeah, I don't mind that flexer only really doing one thing because I feel like it forced their turn off them. I'm willing to kind of accept that. You know, it prevented damage in a indirect way. You know, by them pivoting onto getting their daggers back. But these are the games I live for in Flesh and Blood. You know, we're on 44 minutes. I'm going to get my full 50. The Jarl mantra. I say my only regret here is the flick knives. I think I would have had probably 5 or 6 more life if I'd taken the right card. We're just eating this. Because discarding these is better than blocking with them. Can't block with that, by the way, but you know what I mean. We're not blocking with a fruit if we can help it. That's 4 damage, so it can have the shelter, because that's efficient. And we are just trying to min-max this now, right? Fun. The question is that card good? I do not want to block with this peak this turn because then I can't do anything with this hand. I think I give them the Glacial. If this is a 3 damage card or something, I can block it with the Channel Mount Ison, and then I can move into pitching the fruits rather than anything else. But it looks like I might be getting gain 5 life here, which will be fantastic for me. I really don't want them to throw this. I want them to sit on it because then I get the life. The life is kind of a big deal. And it looks like I'm taking it, whatever it is. Ooh, that's spicy. So I think this is where we lose the coronet. I think we do this. And again, you know, I'm just going to keep saying it. Having 6 more life would have been great. You know, I'd rather be going back to 16 here with them only having the 15 cards left. This pulse is going to be a pain. Because I don't have a good outlet for it anymore. I kind of need them to just swing with something big so I can eat it. So we're about to start taking all the chip in the world. The question is, do I use this pulse up? It's not going to get me good value. That's the thing. So I think we do this. It's not efficient, but I think it's what we go with. Played all of those. Oh no, they pitched it earlier to pay for something, I remember. But I say most of the big stuff's gone. Most of it. It's these throw daggers and stuff that are a problem. But I don't think this is a super high impact turn by the looks of it, because they're out of daggers now. I guess they, you know, they've got time to get them back and stuff, but you know, they didn't weave the daggers in. You can absolutely have the Thunderquake. I still have another Everbloom in there. I think I just need to use this one. And I think I need to give them this because I don't have time for another one of them. I'm just trying to keep myself away from annoying Flicky Death, and that's going to be very close. Yeah, I am super close to dying. As I say, being on 8 after that would be great, but I think they've probably got just about enough to close this. Really need this Everbloom, and I don't think I get to keep it. But we'll see. Don't know how many flicky things they've got left. I don't remember the names of some of the cards, the problem, so then I've got to try and remember which ones they are, and I don't want to like delay their side of the game. As I say, I feel like I'm going to lose this Everbloom as well. I'm just too low on life to be able to play with it, but I really need this to finish the fatigue. And they're going to get a perfect kill, I think. There's, yeah, nothing I can do. I can gain 1 and then I die anyway. So, good game. Yeah, me giving up that 3 life voluntarily kind of screwed me, I think, and definitely destroy flicks next time. You know, mistakes were made. I think I played that pretty well. You know, I nearly got through them. Like, the life total obviously does not reflect it, but we were very close, and we were nearly at the point where I could heart repeatedly. You know, the second I get to doing that heart every turn, I become very hard to kill. So if I'd taken the flick knife like a proper person, I think I'd have won this. You know, losses are frequently entirely on you, and this is definitely one of those games. So, hope you enjoyed the start of various incredibly slow Jarl games. I will see you in the next one.